Hi everybody, this is Leia and I have a surprise for you. If you're a regular viewer or subscriber, you know that I already uploaded my weekly Inspiring Messages video using the tarot and/or oracle cards for May 12th through the 18th, 2014. And yet, I felt guided to film another one for you with a different approach. Consider the first video I posted the general reading for everyone. The one you're watching right now is especially for anybody who wants to do some shadow work this week or finds themselves doing shadow work despite not consciously intending to. To give you a very brief background on the shadow, just in case you haven't encountered the term before, this is the part of you that you have difficulty accepting, so you keep it hidden from the rest of the world, sometimes even from yourself. Now, when you do shadow work, you're bringing these aspects to light because you want to acknowledge them and reintegrate them into the rest of yourself. So let's get to the cards. I used two decks, as you can see, with the top one being the Les Vampires Oracle cards by Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and these are absolutely perfect for shadow work. The bottom deck is the Indigo Angel Oracle by Doreen Virtue and her son Charles Virtue. I'll explain more about indigos in future videos, but suffice it to say that I wanted the loving, supportive energy associated with angels present in this reading, but I wanted them, the angels, strong, rather than overly sweet, as they are often depicted. This card deck fits the bill. So usually in a weekly reading of this sort, the leftmost cards would signify the beginning of the week and the rightmost ones stand for the weekend. But I feel like shadow work is a subject of greater depth and you can't just crowd so many lessons all in one week. So what we can do in this case is to view this like a sort of homework assignment. While you can definitely go over the lessons that come up in these cards over the span of a week, treat that more as an overview of lessons that usually take a longer amount of time to work on. And so let's start flipping the cards over. First we have Immortal, the Consuming Family, Pressure of Peers, and Nature. The Immortal card is about being enmeshed in family and peer energy so much that we don't know anymore who we really are or what we really want. So it looks like our attention is being called to where we've been investing our energy. Outside of family and our peer group, is there some place that's sucking our energy and yet we give and give even if it's either exhausting or not in alignment with what we truly want? Maybe it's because this is what's become normal for us and we don't know anything else, so we continue. Once you become aware of this and want to start doing something constructive about it, the Nature card is a reminder that one of the easiest ways to do so is to take a step back. And then, quite literally, take some time to be in nature, which can give you some clarity. Next among the cards we have Her Last Day in the Light. Unexpected endings, surprise changes, sudden shifts. And Mother Mary. So it looks like Her Last Day in the Light card coming up for us better explains why where we give our attention to is being called into question. If we don't know when life will end or when a really huge change will happen that turns our lives around, wouldn't we want to devote our energies now to what we love rather than to that which we barely tolerate or that which makes us feel dead? As for the Mother Mary card, know that you can see her presence here as a supportive energy, even if you didn't grow up with a spiritual background where she played a huge role. Her being here is symbolic of you having comfort available to you as you make the transition from living blindly to consciously choosing what you give your time, energy, and attention to. There are like-minded people and kindred spirits you can meet now, after you shift away from those who weren't quite conducive to your overall growth and well-being. And you'll find each other once you put yourself out there. Moving on to the lessons for the middle of the week, we have natural, authentic, real, organic. And think about it. The natural card is all about being your true, authentic self. And I think it's awesome how the Les Vampires cards are all tying up nicely to each other, because now you're being told to go deep within and explore who you really are outside of how you've been labeled growing up or how your friends, family, and the people in your workplace see you. Sometimes we mistake what others see in us as being all there is to us. And if we've been accepting this as truth all these years, we certainly have a lot of catching up to do with our real self once we realize this. What are your dreams, your hopes, your likes, all of these outside of what you thought you should want based on other people's input? And the Think About It card indicates this isn't something to gloss over. If you've been handing your power over to others all these years, even if it was unconsciously, your true self has been thirsty for the love and attention, the nourishment it needs to thrive, and you can feed it now. Take your time in doing so. Next up, we have Anti-Hero, Maverick, Risk Taker, Rule Breaker, and Patience. So, you may notice if you've been taking the steps to discover who you really are, that in the eyes of those who once found you acceptable, you're just like the anti-hero now. You're on a completely different level than the one they're on. You're no longer on the same page. This isn't always the case, as some people discover that the religion they grew up in really is what resonates with their personal beliefs, or the job they've been working is what they want to do and they just didn't know it because they were sleepwalking through life. But often, in the process of getting to know ourselves better, the boat gets rocked and others see us as making waves. It can draw a lot of attention to us, and this is a natural part of the process. The Patience card tells us to be understanding of ourselves and others while this is going on. Just a quick story. I experienced this a few times when I was younger, like when I became vegetarian in my teens and when family first started getting wind about me reading cards and being into the quote-unquote supernatural in general. It felt tough, and that period lasted a few years, but it passed. If you just give it time, you will become comfortable in your own skin as time goes by, despite the challenges that come up. And finally, we have Reason. Listen to advice, think clearly, intellect. And you are special. On this journey of getting to know who you really are, make sure that you don't become stubborn and stop listening to all others' input. I know it's challenging, but try to remain impartial. By closing ourselves entirely to other perspectives and points of view, we sometimes block out nuggets that are actually helpful and beneficial for our growth. This doesn't mean going back to blindly accepting, just finding the balance in being true to ourselves and continuing to be open to anything else that matches our beliefs and our vision. These things that we would not even come across if we shut everybody else out. And don't worry, sometimes we block other opinions out because we feel like we're no longer gonna be special or unique if we listen to other people and integrate their beliefs into our own. But you really are special, not in the way where you're better than others, but because you have gifts that only you do. So we are all special in our own way, and how you can celebrate your uniqueness is to make the most of who you truly are. To find your way in the world instead of just believing what you're told or what you read, what you watch, and what you hear. Question things. Not to cause trouble. You don't even have to voice your questions out loud all the time. The reason you're asking is simply because you want to know what works for you. A way of life or belief system may fit beautifully with how someone else wants to live, and that's wonderful. Respect that. But what rings true for you? That is what makes you special. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I really love doing this because, as I've mentioned in other videos, I love doing shadow work. For me, there is so much gold to be mined when we explore our shadow, when we explore our dark side, not because we want to wallow in it, but because we really are sincerely going to shine the light on it so that we can heal and move forward and live generally overall better lives. And as you can notice, I'm really passionate about it, so we probably are gonna do more videos along these same lines. So stay tuned for those if you enjoyed this. As I also mentioned earlier, this sort of thing you can't really fit into the scope of 1 week. It's a lot of work to do in a week. Sometimes this spans a few years, what we just covered here, but these are certainly things to think about if you're planning on doing shadow work, or if you've begun doing shadow work and you may already be, let's say, in the middle of the process, like where the middle of the week falls in this spread, but having these things reflected back to you, even if it's stuff that you've already experienced, I know can help reframe everything and put it all in a new perspective. So I hope this was helpful. I'll be back again really soon, and if you want to see the general reading for the week, I've already posted that too, as I've mentioned. So until next time, bye for now and namaste.